Good morning, afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our latest DWS Community Cafe. I wanted to welcome you to this latest session, which is on dimension focus. As always, if you want to interact with us, we'd love to hear you. So either put any comments into the chat, or if you want to speak at the end and actually ask us a question, we're very happy to unmute. We're very happy to listen to any questions you have. We'd be really pleased to answer any of the issues or comments around the products that we're showing today. And we just want to walk you through any of our tips and tricks, use cases that we think might help you when you're using dimension focus. So with that, I'm going to hand over to David Majek, who's one of our product solution specialists, and we'll be talking us through the presentation. So over to you, David. That's great, you can see the screen.
Yeah, so hello, my name is David. I'm Technical Project Manager at DWS with over 20 years experience with JD Edwards and Enterprise One. And I also participated on the development of dimension focus. And today I would like to speak about the heat map, which is part of the dimension focus solution. First of all, for those who don't know what dimension focus is, very briefly, basically this product offered by DWS is a solution for those who consider installing an ESU, electronic software update from Oracle, and they want to find out what the testing impact will be, what objects need to be tested, what objects are part of the ESU, and so on. So we can basically run an analysis on the customer's objects, and the result of the analysis is visible to the customers on our hub. So for each run, you will see, maybe I will try to minimize this window, sorry. On each run, you will see one of these boxes. So in my testing environment, I have two runs, one on the left side and the other one on the right side. And last time there has been an introduction of this details button, which basically leads you to some overview of the run, where you can see the overall impact, you can see the impacted objects, you can see the list of execution points, user roles, and so on. But that's not really part of what we want to discuss today. Today we want to focus on the testing heat map. Testing heat map is basically the detailed information about the list of the ESU objects, the so-called master parents, execution points, and so on. So very briefly, I would like to describe what you can see on this screen. Under this tab, unaffected, you can see the list of all the objects that are not affected by the ESU at all. So it's the first one on the list, but we don't really need to care about these because they will be not affected and we don't need to test them. Then we have these two tabs, execution point and master parents. Let me start from master parents. Master parent is the first application on or UBE which is impacted by the ESU. You know that the ESU may be installed to a table or business function or business view, and it's not really possible to test these objects directly. So what we do, we test these objects through applications, through UBEs. And the closest master parent is basically the first or closest application or UBE using which we can test that ESU change. Then we have execution points, which can be also applications or UBEs, but these applications and UBEs are the starting points, which usually means that these are the applications or UBEs that are available on the menu or can be called from third-party applications and so on. So execution point will most probably be the starting point for the testing. Well, then we have these Esu objects. So here you can see the list of the objects which are part of the Esu. I would just like to mention here that sometimes Oracle include objects that haven't been modified at all, and DWS have a technology how to identify these objects and exclude them from the testing because they were effectively not changed by the Esu, although Oracle said they were. Then we have a list of new objects, so objects that were brought by the considered Esu as new. And then we have orphan parents and Esu objects. So I think these are not really that critical for what I would like to present today. So let me start from the Esu objects. First of all, I would like to show you a very simple example. So for example, this object B0101-500, which is an object delivered by this Esu. And here on the screen, we can see the details. Everything that is red is an object delivered by the Esu. We can see some more information here. So we can see that the description of this object is check location within proximity. We can also see that this is master parent. So there are scenarios in which this object can be the starting testing point. And this is also a new object. We can see which function within this object has been modified. And this OKCB is kind of suffix that we use to uniquely identify every function within the system, because sometimes the function names may, in very special cases, overlap. Using this arrow button, we can expand the information further. So we can see the hierarchy of the calls. So in this case, this object B0101-500 and its function check location within proximity is called by application M030010 from form B. This is again the description, and we can see it was called from button clicked. We can also see that this is not an entry point, it is not on the menu, and therefore it is not an execution point. Here in the information in the right upper corner, you can see that the execution points are marked with blue. So in this simple example, we can see the hierarchy between, or the link between the Esu object and all the applications that call this object. In this case, it's very simple. Also, we can press this button to see which Esus contain this object. Of course, we can run this analysis for several Esus at the same time. These buttons in the right upper corner, these basically mean if the object has been already tested. So the whole purpose of this solution is to provide the customer an easy way how to test all the changes that have been delivered by the Esu. So once the function has been successfully tested, we can check this checkbox, and now it is marked as tested. the same way we could do the same here. So let me leave this very simple scenario and let's find something a little bit more interesting. For example, this function B01 00067. This is formatted address with who is who. This is very common function used at many places in the system, called from many applications, UBEs, to format the address for printing. So the impact here will be really massive. You can see that it's already tested, but for now we can mark it as untested. We can see which function within that object has been modified, and we can also see the huge impact of this ESU. You can see the list of all the reports and applications that call this function. So let me go. Let me see what we can see under this function. For example, this named event rule N4302-320 calls our function in question, and we want to see how we could test this named event rule. So we can go through all the applications again until we find one execution point through which we could possibly test that function. We can define strategy. If we want to start from the Esu objects, and we can always identify the execution point and start testing from there, or we can actually go the other way around. We can start from the execution points, go down to the Esu object, and see through which actions that Esu object is executed. So in this case, you can see that the execution point is application P34-301, and the action that basically calls that Esu object is grid column clicked. We can also see which column it is, and we can see which form it is. So during the testing, we can really focus on this single column and see if the changes provided by Oracle are still okay, if they still work well. And in this case, we can see that the testing is not that easy because we need to go through several other applications, like this one, and then the functions are called. So then the rest is relatively easy. Let me see the same scenario, but starting from this application. So P34-301. If we prefer to start the testing from the execution points, we can simply type the object name here. We can go to view details again, and we can see if we find this Esu object somewhere. I already know that it's somewhere here. So this is our object to be tested. And basically this path is exactly the same we have seen before, but the order is opposite. So once we decide that this object is fine and it works, we can check it, and it means it has been tested. Well, there is one very important thing. Many applications call the same function from different places of the logic, from different forms, from different actions, and we of course don't want to test all those scenarios, because once we test the function works fine, there is pretty good chance that it will work in all the scenarios. So what we use, part of the strategy, is something we call shortest path. Shortest path means the shortest number or smallest number of those steps or functions or applications between the ESU and the master parent or execution point. So we don't really want to test scenarios that are too complex. If we can find a scenario which is easier to test, which is not that complex, we don't need to go through that many steps. So part of our solution is that we automatically suggest only the shortest path from execution point or master parent to the ESU object. Regarding this view, we can collapse the information like this. We can zoom in and zoom out, as you have seen before. So the work with this information is pretty easy and pretty fast. Actually, at the moment we are on the testing environment, which is even slower than the production one. So in reality, it should be much faster. If I go back to this screen where this is basically the main screen of the testing heat map, you can notice that there are several functions or options you can use. You can copy records. You can export to Excel. You can print. You can search by different fields. So the work is really fast and easy. And there is one more important thing I would like to show you, and it's basically the score. The score, the higher the number is, the more complex the testing will be. So the red ones are really difficult to test, while the yellow ones, or maybe later the green ones, are quite easy to test. So this also indicates how complex the testing will be. And apart from that, we can also assign testing of each application or ESU object to a specific user. So here you can choose, you can click here, you can choose which user should be assigned to these objects, and later on you can monitor what or how the testing progresses. So this is basically everything I wanted to present today. If you have any questions, then please, this is the right time.
Yeah, thanks, David. Yeah, if there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or just unmute yourself, and sure, David will be happy to answer them. And if not, we'll just give it another minute. We can just sign off the session. That was really interesting. Gives a really good overview of how Dimension Focus works with the ESUs. Just having a little look. I don't think there are any questions come in. So unless you've got anything else, David, I think we can finish the webinar for today.
From my side. So
okay,
thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you again on the next one, I hope.
Thank you and bye.
Bye.